Did you ever see the movie The Ghosts? I think it's The Ghosts and the Darkness. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, yeah. I have.
What did you think? Was it crazy?
When I was a kid, it, it was both fun and or not fun, but action and boring.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt that way too. But at the same time, it also just scared me.
It, as a kid, one of those movies that are set in the like 1800s were always boring, kind of boring to me until you put
Right,
action in there. But
right.
yeah, it was a little scary.
Yeah. It was scary to me just imagining. I don't know, I'd put myself in the position of the actors, the people they were portraying, how
Right.
scary that would be. Just anything out in the darkness, like you can't necessarily see until it's pounced upon you.
Right. Yeah.
um, so, for those that haven't seen it, The Ghost in the Darkness is a 1996 film about a pair of man eating lions in Tsavo. Tsavo is a community located in southeastern Kenya. But before we get into the story, I'm Michelle,
And I'm Isaiah.
and this is where we talk about the unexplained, possibly paranormal, and always strange. If you like what you hear, give us a like, subscribe, comment, and share so our content can reach more happy listeners like you.
In 1898, two maneless male lions unleashed a reign of terror on the workers constructing the Kenya-Uganda Railway, preying on and devouring dozens of men over a chilling 9-month stretch. The railway project fell under the command of Lieutenant Colonel John Henry Patterson, a man whose military career in India had already steeped him in the art of predator pursuit. I almost said predatory. A
Maybe that
seasoned.
too. Who knows?
I hope not. We'll get Chris Hansen after him.
Right. Take a seat.
He's got those magic powers. Anyway,
Right.
a seasoned tiger hunter, Patterson was no stranger to the silent calculus of man versus beast. It was a grim coincidence, perhaps fate, that placed him Tsavo, where the hunters would soon become the hunted. Only days into his arrival at Tsavo, Lieutenant Colonel Patterson was informed that workers had begun to vanish. The reports were troubling, but he dismissed them as routine disruptions, likely the work of local bandits known to prowl the region. Even the more outlandish claims that two maneless male lions were prowling the camps at night, snatching men from their palm frond huts and canvas tents, struck him as superstition, the kind of fevered rumor that spreads in isolated outposts. Patterson, a man of military discipline and rational mind, saw no reason to panic. But the ground beneath Tsavo was already shifting, and the nightmare had only just begun. 3 weeks after Patterson's arrival, the nightmare stepped into firelight. A supervisor, whose name would soon be lost to history, was dragged from his tent in full view of stunned workers. The lion struck with terrifying boldness, its silhouette briefly illuminated by firelight before vanishing into the dark with its prey. At dawn, Patterson followed the trail. What he found defied reason. Pools of blood soaked the earth like ritual markings. Shreds of flesh clung to scattered bones. And then, half buried in the dust, the supervisor's head, eerily intact, frozen in a final expression of unspeakable terror.
Wow. That's,
No, I don't think it was looking like that. I don't think it was this. Wow.
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 Channeling your inner Owen Wilson.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of crazy though. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. When I hear
Can you imagine
stories,
walking into a severed head and the severed head just goes, wow.
wow. There's something wrong with us. Yeah. I don't know. Hearing stories about like people that have been, well, even not just mauled by animals or whatever, but like them having a death expression on their face, like a look of horror or a grimace from pain or, things like that. It's just always, I don't know, it always strikes me. But yeah,
How's it strike you?
wow. I don't do a good Owen Wilson, but yeah,
I
it's
don't
just
either.
kind
It's all right.
of.
I think we
he
all
does.
get
He does
the
it good for all of us.
yeah. I was gonna say we get the meme.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Expression of unspeakable terror. Just.
Wow.
okay, okay. Beating a dead horse now.
All right. The grimace was so contorted, so primal, that it seared itself into Patterson's memory. He would later admit that the sight haunted him more than any battlefield. This was no ordinary predator. It was something older, something mythic, and had made its presence known.
But this is Africa, a land where lions have hunted humans since time immemorial, and where survival has depended on ancient wisdom passed down through generations. The locals knew the rules of the wild. They understood that lions preferred to strike in absolute darkness when the world was quiet and fear ran deepest. So the railway workers adapted. Each night, towering bonfires were lit, casting flickering halos of light across the camps. The flames danced like sentinels warding off the unseen. Around the perimeter they built bomas, dense thorn fences so viciously tangled that even the boldest predator would hesitate to cross. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, a strict curfew took hold. Not that anyone needed reminding. After what they'd seen, no man dared walk alone beneath the stars. It was a fragile ritual, fire, thorn, and silence, meant to hold back the ancient hunger prowling just beyond the light. But none of it worked. The bonfires blazed, the thorn fences bristled, and the curfews held. But the lions came anyway. They leapt over barricades with impossible grace or slithered through gaps like smoke. These were not ordinary beasts. They moved with purpose, with malice, as if driven by something older than hunger. To the workers, steeped in ancestral lore and surrounded by death, the explanation was clear. These lions were not of this world. They were vengeful spirits, guardians of the land, enraged by the railroad slicing through sacred ground. Whispers spread like wildfire. The men gave them names, the ghost and the darkness, not just predators, but omens. And still the killings continued. Night after night, the camps echoed with screams and the crackle of fire. March came, and the bloodshed showed no signs of slowing. And then, silence.
No attacks, no footprints, no bodies, just the wind through the thorn and the uneasy quiet of men too afraid to believe the nightmare was over. No one knows why the lions vanished. There was no final roar, no trail of blood, just silence. Patterson, weary and haunted, must have exhaled a long, trembling breath. The nightmare seemed to have lifted. Word spread swiftly through the camps. The ghost and the darkness were gone. The men, once paralyzed by fear and ready to abandon the project, returned to their posts. Hammers rang out again. Steel met stone. The railway bridge inched forward across the Tsavo River. For 2 months, the camps thrummed with cautious optimism. The fires still burned at night, but they were no longer symbols of desperation, just habit. Laughter returned. Sleep came easier. But beneath it all lingered a question no one dared voice aloud. Had the lions truly gone, or were they simply waiting? June brought no mercy. Patterson received a report. Another worker missing. Then another. And another. The silence had been a lie. The ghost and the darkness had returned, not as shadows, but as a daily horror. Each night, a man vanished. The lions were back in force, snatching sleeping workers from their tents with terrifying regularity, devouring them under the stars. At least they had a good view, right?
right.
Those who survived could hear it, the sickening crunch of bones echoing from the brush,
Ugh.
the wet tearing of flesh, the low growl of satisfaction. It wasn't just death, it was ritual. A nightly feeding that turned the camps into a waking nightmare. Men huddled together, sleepless and trembling, knowing that by dawn, one of them would be gone.
The firelight no longer offered comfort. The thorn fences had become a cruel joke, and Patterson, once the rational commander, now stood at the edge of something mythic, where reason faltered and the wild reclaimed its dominion. Desperation took hold. Patterson and his men set trap after trap, poisoned carcasses laid out like bait, rifles trained from treetop perches, fingers twitching at every rustle. But the lions were indifferent. They bypassed the carcasses with uncanny awareness, slipping past armed guards as if mocking their efforts. These creatures weren't just hunting, they were outwitting. Then came the hospital attack. A place meant for healing turned into a slaughterhouse. One patient was dragged from his bed and killed. Two others were left mangled, their bodies torn in a frenzy of claws and teeth. The message was clear. No place was safe. Not the tents, not the fences, not even the sanctuaries. The lions weren't just predators, they were invaders, and the war for Tsavo had entered its darkest chapter. I have to say, were they invaders though? I mean, didn't
Right. I
they live
mean,
there first?
yeah, lions were probably there first.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, lions are they're territorial, right? So
Yeah.
they only hunt in their territory.
And I'm wondering if whenever, it went quiet, that happened back in March. For us here, that's spring. For there, it may also be spring, but it's not the spring that we have. I think it is maybe going to turn cold. I'll have to look and see. Because I know here it's cold right now, and there it's pretty warm.
Hmm.
Like it's getting hot. So maybe possibly they had gone off to try to find mates, maybe? I mean, I don't know why else they would have wandered off, you know?
Well, if it was getting cold, they were probably seeking more shelter than anything else.
Possibly, but at the same time, they'd want to stay close to their food source.
All right.
The killings accelerated. What had once been a nightly horror, one man dragged screaming into the bush, became a double execution. Each lion now claimed a victim, as if competing in cruelty. The camps were unraveling. Patterson, desperate to stem the bloodshed, requested reinforcements. Help came in the form of Mr. Whitehead, the district officer, and Abdullah, an Askari sergeant. Askari? I'm not sure how to say that.
Yeah, man, those are your people, you know.
I don't know how to say that. Um, they arrived by train, too late. Night had already fallen. With only a lantern to guide them, the two men made their way toward the camp, the flickering light casting long shadows across the savannah. Then, without warning, one of the lions struck. Whitehead was knocked to the ground, his lantern flung into the dust. He fired blindly into the air, the gunshot cracking through the night. The beast vanished, but not before gouging 4 deep claw marks down his back. He survived, but only just.
I can't that's be scary because they're like doubling up their killings now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're hunting and yeah, I mean, why are these people still there, you know? They're paid,
Right?
they got to be paid good money or something.
Man, I would have abandoned ship a long time ago, gone
You
and gotten a
know?
job somewhere else.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine being called in as a reinforcement to check out this crazy thing that's happening with these killer lions? And the moment you're getting off of the train or the truck or whatever the heck it was, I don't remember, you get jumped, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I just, why didn't they just pack up and go?
'Cause apparently that bridge was that important, I guess. I mean, it's almost like the Lions knew that they were sending reinforcements or something and attacked the the
Reinforcement.
reinvigorated people. Yeah, the
Yeah.
people that were coming there with, without being so terrified, without the exhaustion,
It's
the scare, the fear,
it's
like
like they're doing
immediately.
everything to negate, like doing everything to discourage the the continuation of
Yeah,
what they're doing.
really it is. It's almost like they're defending their land.
Yeah. It's just their territory.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's wild.
Abdullah was not so lucky. The second lion seized him in the chaos, dragging him into the dark. By morning, nothing remained.
Oh, dang.
Well, half the reinforcements were gone.
Mr. Whitehead got a warning.
Yeah,
Abdullah was just like, dinner.
was the warning
Yeah. Wow.
of the message. The message was clear. Even the armed were prey, and the ghosts in the darkness were not finished. By December 1st, the illusion of control had shattered. Panic gripped the camps as workers scrambled aboard any train bound for the coast, desperate to put distance between themselves and the nightmare stalking Tsavo. The journey was 130 miles, but even that felt too close. Those who remained were paralyzed by fear. The flimsy huts and canvas tents offered no protection, and no one dared sleep on the ground. Instead, men climbed into the branches of a massive tree, clinging to its limbs like frightened birds. So many sought refuge there that the tree eventually gave way, crashing to the earth in a tangle of bodies and broken wood. God damn.
I would I would have been scrambling up the next tree.
I don't know what a tree's gonna do for you. They're cats. They're
Right?
lions. They're gonna
Right.
climb it.
Yeah.
It's like they're gonna climb the tree. Like lions are gonna climb the tree and get stuck up there. Oh no! What am I gonna do now?
No.
Send the firemen.
Mm.
The railway bridge, once a symbol of progress, stood unfinished. Tools lay abandoned. Fires burned unattended. The Lions had not just halted construction, they had dismantled the very idea of civilization. On the evening of December 9th, a breathless worker burst into camp with news. One of the lions had attacked a man and his donkeys down by the river. The men had escaped, but the lion was still there, feasting. Patterson didn't hesitate. He seized his double-barreled rifle and sprinted toward the river, adrenaline surging. The air was thick with silence, broken only by the sound of tearing flesh. Creeping forward, he closed the distance. 15 yards. The lion was hunched over the carcass, its muscles rippling, unaware of the hunter in its midst. Patterson raised the rifle, aimed for the skull, held his breath, and gently squeezed the trigger. Click! The gun misfired.
No.
The lion lifted its head and locked eyes with him.
I bet he
Amber,
did. Sorry.
amber, ancient, and unreadable. Patterson froze, paralyzed by the gaze of something that felt older than time. He forgot the second barrel. The lion could have lunged, could have shredded him in seconds, but it didn't. It turned its maneless head and trotted off into the brush, leaving Patterson trembling in the dark. Shaken but alive, Patterson scanned the scene. The donkey's body was only half eaten. The lion would return. He knew it. So he climbed a nearby tree and built a machan, a blind, 12 feet above the carcass, a perch from which he would wait, rifle loaded, breath steady, but heart pounding. The final hunt had begun.
Nightfall cloaked the savannah in silence as Patterson climbed into his blind, 12 feet above the half-eaten donkey carcass. Alone in the dark, he waited, rifle loaded, nerves taut. Hours passed. The firelight flickered in the distance. His eyelids grew heavy. Sleep crept in. Then, a sound. A rustle in the brush. A low crunch of undergrowth. Patterson jolted awake. The lion had returned. But this time it wasn't rushing the bait. It was circling. Slowly. Silently. Patterson strained to see through the blackness. But the beast remained hidden. Only the sound of its deliberate steps betrayed its presence. The hunter had become the hunted. Then the noise stopped. Patterson peered down, and there it was, a massive lion, its maneless head tilted upward, amber eyes glowing with ancient fury. It stared directly at him, as if weighing the distance, calculating the leap. Before it could move, Patterson fired. The shot cracked through the night. The lion roared and thrashed, its body convulsing in pain. Patterson fired again and again. The beast staggered, then bolted into the bush, leaving behind only blood and echoes. The silence returned, but it was no longer empty. It pulsed with knowledge that the ghost had been wounded and the final reckoning was near.
Jesus. Scary, man. It's like, can you imagine, like, you think you're hidden, and then you just, like, you make eye contact, and you're like, well, shit.
Yeah, I could imagine, like, looking down and seeing it staring, the lion staring right back up at me, knowing that, like, more than likely, in a leap or a leap and a half, he's got me.
Well, not only that, too, like, there's two of them. You see
Mm-hmm.
one.
Yeah, where's
You're
the
like,
other one?
yeah, the first one already knows where you're at. Where's the second one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Be looking up above me. Oh, come on, please, no.
Right. Right.
At first light, Patterson descended from his perch and followed the blood trail. Short, but unmistakable. The earth bore the lion's final passage. Crimson smears on dry grass, broken twigs, the silence of something ancient coming to an end. And then he saw it. The lion lay still, its massive frame collapsed beneath a thorn bush, breathless and unmoving. One of Patterson's bullets had found its mark, piercing the heart. The ghost was dead. The lion was colossal, 9 feet, 8 inches from nose to tail, a living monument to terror. Its body, now lifeless, still radiated with the power that had haunted Tsavo for months. It took 8 men to carry the carcass back to camp, their faces grim with awe and exhaustion. The beast's paws dragged in the dust, its amber eyes finally dimmed. One down, one to go. But the second lion was the stuff of legend.
Like the first one wasn't? I mean, at this point, I was expecting it to get right back up after he thought it was dead.
It's waiting, okay? It's waiting. It's biding its time.
Right, it's gonna wait until, like, they've all gathered around it so he can resurrect himself, and then
Yeah, see,
it'd be
he's
like a mass execution of railroad workers.
it totally Trojan horse them. It waited for
Right.
to get drug into the camp.
So I can't wait to hear about the stuff of legend if that first one wasn't, because crap. Yeah.
Pat Patterson heard that the second lion had killed 2 goats on a camp inspector's porch. To lure it back, he tied 3 live goats to a 250-pound steel rail and built a tree blind above them. That night, the lion returned, killed 1 goat, and dragged all 3 along with the heavy rail into the bush. Patterson fired, but accidentally hit a goat instead. Dude, that lion drugged the steel along with the goats. It's insane, man. We've had railroad ties at the job that I worked at for like 18 years at the golf course.
Yeah.
We had railroad ties because we had railroad ties and we had train cars that we used like underground and stuff like that to
Yeah.
help with ship. And those steel ties are not light.
No.
I mean, you even like me, like we can like you can like lift one end of it just off the ground and like scoot it, a few inches, and then go to the other side, scoot that a few inches. But, like it's nothing like you just like toss on your shoulder or nothing. This thing drug off 3 goats and the steel tie, man.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's crazy. The next morning, Patterson set out with his gun bearer, Mahina, and a search party. Shaken from killing the first lion, he no longer hunted alone. After just a quarter mile, they heard a roar, and the lion burst from the bush, scattering the men. But instead of attacking, it ran off. Patterson built a tree blind nearby and sat beside Mahina, who guarded a pile of rifles as the sun went down. Patterson was drifting off when Mahina nudged him awake. Below them, a large lion lurked in the shadows. Patterson fired 2 powerful shots into its shoulder, and the lion dropped. He was sure it was dead. But then, the lion got up and ran into the bush.
See? This is the moment I was waiting on. It was dead, but then it got up.
Yeah,
and
just
it ran
wait.
away.
He's going to get back to camp, and that lion's going to... Stunned, Patterson had never seen an animal survive such close-range fire. The next morning, he and a search party followed the blood trail for over a mile until it vanished.
For 10 days, there was no sign of the lion. Patterson began to think it had crawled off somewhere to die. On December 27th, gunfire alerted Patterson that the lion had returned. It had crept under a tree full of screaming workers and left paw prints showing it had entered the camp and even poked its head into empty huts. Patterson was more determined than ever to kill the predator. He constructed a blind in a nearby tree and sat armed to the teeth with Mahina, each taking turns on watch. At approximately 3 a.m., Mahina was on watch when Patterson opened his eyes. His instincts sensed something wrong. Looking down, he saw the lion emerge and realized it had been stalking them all along. Patterson aimed his rifle and shot a bullet into the lion's chest. It showed no reaction and disappeared. The next morning, Patterson saw the lion hidden in thick brush. His first shot made it charge. The second knocked it down, but it got back up. A third shot hit, but didn't stop it. Patterson reached for his backup rifle, only to realize he'd left it behind. He ran with the lion chasing him and climbed into the tree blind just in time. Mahina handed him a fresh rifle, and Patterson fired down. The lion dropped. Why is Mahina handing him a fresh rifle rather than shooting him himself?
Because he don't want to get involved. You see this lion take like multiple shots. So far, this lion has taken like 5-6 shots. Mahina's sitting there going, I'm not fucking with this shit.
I don't understand. Like, why not? I don't get it. That's just really funny to me. Okay.
Maybe Mahina doesn't know how to use a firearm. He wasn't properly trained, and he thought he might hit Patterson. But yeah, that's kind of funny. He's just sitting up there with all these rifles going, oh shit, man, that looks bad.
Patterson is like running for his life. And at the last moment you decide to hand him a rifle.
Oh, did you need this?
I mean, you could have been like, he could have been like aiming, ADSing on that lion while Patterson was running away from him, but no.
Hey, you should have took this with you.
Right. Good luck. I don't know.
The lion remained motionless, but Patterson waited until he felt it was safe to descend the tree. I would too. Would have put a few shots in it regardless.
I was going to say, I would have thrown it, given it a couple more shots. Maybe found a long stick from up there in the tree, poked it a couple times.
He had no sooner stepped on the ground when the lion roared back to life. In utter disbelief, Patterson frantically pumped bullets into the lion's chest and head, finally stopping the beast only a mere 5 steps away from where he was standing. Patterson said the lion took its last dying breath, reaching out to touch him with a massive claw.
Now that almost makes me sad.
Wanted to reach out and touch someone.
I mean, oh my god.
Like, he was all alone now. He needed somebody.
They killed his buddy, and then they killed him. These lions just wanted to live. Everything has to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, they could have eaten other things. They seem to have a desire for human flesh, but I think it was more territory than than anything. Or
Oh,
maybe
100%.
I don't know. I think there was maybe some stuff going on there then that was making some of the like their natural prey a little bit scarce perhaps, and this was easy. I mean, look, people are easy
Yeah.
for a predator like that.
Hmm. I
You
mean,
know, I don't know.
the thing is, like, we can look at this with any life form. You enter its territory, and it's going to feel threatened. It'll feel scared. It will feel cornered because you are in its home.
Yeah.
So those lions were just protecting its home. And a lot of people are going to see those lions as the bad guys, but it's like you're encroaching on nature. You're encroaching on like a natural animal's territory and instincts to protect that territory.
Perhaps, or perhaps they were just hungry. I mean, look at it from the standpoint of, what else do they eat? Do they eat like things, I guess, I don't know.
Things.
I'm trying to think. Hang on. I keep wanting to say wildebeest.
Say, I
Water
don't know.
buffalo.
I don't
Say
know.
they eat water buffalo. Well, where are they going to go whenever they need to eat? They're going to go where all the water buffalo hang out. Okay. Well, the people were all in one spot. So they knew they could get food there. So they just kept going there. You know?
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know if it could be territory. It could be that you're the food in their territory.
Right.
You know? This new food that wasn't always there that's really easy to kill. It was low risk. Usually it was low risk until Patterson came along
Hmm.
with all of his rifles and his gunman or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, so I lean more towards the it was just easy pickings, and
Yeah,
maybe it wasn't that easy for them to find other food. Perhaps I
that's
don't know.
possible. I don't know what Kenya or Sabo was like at the time, so it's very possible. It's a very big possibility, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
Though he proved much harder to kill, the second lion was slightly shorter than the first, measuring 9 feet 6 inches. Yeah, real small, much smaller.
That's still massive.
Yeah, I was being sarcastic.
Oh, I know.
Patterson claimed that 135 people had been killed constructing the railway bridge over the Tsavo River. The railway documented 28 Indian deaths. The Field Museum in Chicago, where the lions are displayed, believes there was 35 victims. Patterson blamed the large discrepancy on the fact that most of the killings were in the African camps and none were documented. Completed in February 1899 at an enormous cost in human blood and suffering, the railway bridge over the Savo River was destroyed less than 20 years later by the Germans in World War I.
Was it worth it?
Well worth it.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they didn't know that the war was coming, so
I get it. I know it's just, civilization. It was trying to make it easier to transport goods, people,
yeah,
things like that. I
yeah.
understand where people would find it necessary to construct such a thing. But in the end, I forgot while we're sitting here going over this that the bridge had been destroyed later on down the road, and I was sitting here thinking, how haunted must this bridge be? Well, it's not there anymore. Maybe the area, but I don't know. That's just I don't know. It would have packed up so much earlier than I don't know than they would have thought probably, but that's crazy and scary. Um, what makes the Savo story so haunting, so utterly alien to the modern Western imagination, is its raw primal terror. In an age of floodlights and surveillance cameras, of locked doors and emergency services just a call away, it's nearly impossible to grasp the sheer vulnerability of those railway workers. I mean, they're in these thin tents.
Right.
There are no floodlights. When the fire goes out, that's it. I mean, and there's only so much you can see illuminated by a firelight. Anyone that's gone camping or even just sat like at a fire pit in their backyard, you know that there's like a border when it comes to firelight. It goes so far, and beyond that, it's pitch black.
Right.
And whatever is out there that you can't see is seeing you, you know? So, if I have a fire pit in my backyard today, I think of that. I think, okay, well, we have coyotes that come near. We do have mountain lion that come near, and we have bobcats. But more than likely, what's on that border is going to be a possum or raccoon.
Right.
Or like the neighborhood feral cat. To think of like this massive 9-foot lion in that border, just waiting for your eyes to get heavy and the fire to get dim and for you to like drift off to sleep. That's terrifying.
Yeah, see, and that's where the whole like not that's not the story here isn't exactly where the saying comes from, but I mean what you just described is what it is don't be afraid of the dark, but be afraid of what's in the dark or what can be in the dark.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they lived in tents surrounded by wilderness with only firelight and superstition to guard them. And then the lions. They weren't ordinary lions. These were maneless, spectral beasts. To them, they were spectral.
Mm-hmm.
Silent, calculating, and seemingly insatiable. They didn't just kill, they hunted with eerie precision, dragging men from their beds in the dead of night, leaving behind only bloodied footprints and the echo of screams swallowed by the savannah. Night after night, the camp was gripped by dread. Sleep became a gamble. Every rustle in the dark could be death. They do seem unworldly whenever we talk about them. The way they hunted, the way they eluded their traps, they dismissed their bait that had been poisoned, how they got through the thorns and barricades. Um, it seemed like they had an ability to think in a way that you wouldn't expect them to be able to think and
Right.
calculate.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially that second lion that took
Mm-hmm.
like a dozen shots before going down.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's like unworldly strength, power. I don't know. It's almost like immortality.
They were definitely a phenomenon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To the men of Tsavo, the lions weren't animals. They were demons, cunning, patient, and terrifyingly bold. Some believed they were spirits sent to punish, others whispered of ancient curses. Rational explanations crumbled under the weight of fear, and in that fear, the boundary between myth and reality blurred. Today, we read the accounts and marvel at the numbers: dozens of lives lost, 9 months of terror. But the emotional truth is harder to quantify. What does it feel like to lie awake, knowing that something is watching, waiting, and has already tasted human flesh?
But why did the lions hunt humans? Some said it was desperation. In the late 1890s, a deadly cattle disease called rinderpest swept through East Africa, decimating buffalo and other large prey. With their usual food gone, the lions may have turned to the next easiest target: railway workers sleeping in tents. Others pointed to lions' teeth. Decades later, researchers at the Field Museum in Chicago examined the skulls and found signs of dental disease. One lion had a severe abscess and broken canines, making it painful to hunt large, bone-heavy animals like zebras or wildebeest. Humans, soft and slow, were simply easier to catch and eat.
I told you.
Then came the fringe theories. Some locals believed the lions were not ordinary beasts, but spirits cursed or possessed. They hunted not for food, but for vengeance. Others whispered that the lions had developed a taste for human flesh by scavenging corpses during earlier conflicts or famine. And once that line was crossed, there was no going back. Ooh, they're Wendigos. A few even speculated that the lions were unusually intelligent, working together with eerie coordination almost like a pack of wolves. They bypassed traps, avoided poison bait, and attacked with uncanny timing. It wasn't just hunger, it was strategy.
And so the ghost in the darkness fell. Two lions, maneless and monstrous, brought a railway to its knees and carved their legend into the dust of Tsavo. Over 9 months, they hunted with eerie precision, defied traps and bullets, and turned a construction site into a battlefield between man and nature. Patterson survived. The bridge was built, but the cost was staggering. Dozens of lives lost, countless others scarred. To this day, scientists debate the reasons behind the attacks: disease, dental pain, scavenging habits, or something more primal. Locals still whisper of spirits and curses. In the halls of the Field Museum in Chicago, the lions' mounted bodies stare out from behind glass, frozen in time but never truly tamed. But here's the truth, and a bit of my own opinion that I so rarely share on this podcast. That's a lie. I share my opinion all the time. The lions weren't evil. They were hungry. Everything must eat. The antelope, the hyena, the man, the lion. In the wild, survival is not cruelty. It's law. The ghost in the darkness didn't kill out of malice. They killed to live. And in doing so, they reminded us that nature doesn't bend to our plans. It watches, it waits, and sometimes it strikes. Tsavo wasn't just a story of survival. It was a reckoning, a reminder that progress has a price, and sometimes the darkness fights back.